Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we're checking out the JJRC H32GH altitude hold FPV 5.8 gigahertz FPV real-time image transmission micro drone. So this will be fun. This is going to be a full review from unboxing all the way up to inspection, setup, and flight test out in the park, possibly in the house as well. We'll have the links to this guy down in the description, so you can check that out, see the current pricing and what more in-depth specs are. Anyway, this one kind of does it all. Of course, it doesn't have GPS, but it does altitude hold. It's got headless mode. It's got the FPV. They do give you the screen here in the box, so pretty much a full-featured little micro or mini, depending on what you want to call it. Let's open up this box and get right to the review. So pulling it open, and we've got a couple of layers here. So here's the first layer, and here's the quad right on top. So it's a neat little, looks like a little Hubsan X4 looking quadcopter, very similar in design, a little bit different. You can see that we have the camera on the front there, and we have a micro SD card slot there. We got the little light cups on the bottom. There's our 5.8 gigahertz FPV antenna hanging out the back. And here's our battery. Let's see if we can pull out this battery and see what this is. 3.7 volt, 450 milliamp with that little micro low-C Wakera plug on top. Little small propellers, but they look pretty thick. Should give us some good lift. And that's about it for the quad. Really compact. We do have a switch on the side here, so we don't have to turn on right when we plug it in. We can switch it on and off. There is apparently also an orange version. You can see that on the box too. Anyway, let's take out the rest of the stuff and see what we get. So instruction manual tucked away right in here for the quad, and also on how to, looks like, use the FPV system and the controller. Another piece of plastic, and there's the controller. So a little mini controller, another box, and a couple of bags. That's it in the box. A couple of bags of peripherals here. And in this bag, we're getting the Phillips screwdriver. Let me just go ahead and open this up. So we have a Phillips. Never seen a green one like this before. That's interesting. A new set of propellers. So awesome. Four propellers, just in case we crash and burn and drew up some propellers. A little propeller wrench. Very good. A little charger for the battery, USB charger. Got to plug this into your computer or cell phone charger, or a little battery bank if you've got one. And then this looks like it's going to be our plug for our FPV screen, which should be in this box, which we'll open up in just a second. Propeller guards, landing gear in that bag. And let's open up this this little box where our FPV screen should be. So just pulling this open, very similar to the WL Toys screens, probably all coming from the same factory. But anyway, there's our antenna connector, and here's our antenna. So it's just like a monopole linear antenna here. Probably get some, like with all antennas, probably get some better range if you do like a flat panel patch antenna, which you can put on separate if you'd like. Anyway, here it is. So the sun hood springs out. We got this little, this one does have a little screen protector on it. Let's go ahead and take this off and see how shiny this screen is. So pulling that off. Cool. So actually we got a little bit of a matte finish screen on this one. It's not going to give us quite as much glare. You can see how it diffuses the glare, and also it has a sun hood. So very good combo with that matte finish and the sun hood. And it is spring loaded, which is always awesome. And the FPV connection is down there, where we're going to plug that into our controller in just a second. Here's the plug for charging. Power plug here, so we're just going to plug this in and plug this into USB, and that's pretty much it. Aside from this on-off button on the side, that's pretty much it for the monitor. The way you hook that up to the controller is very, very simple. Pretty good system they have going here. They have this little spring-loaded door, and so all you do is push the controller into it and push it down in kind of hard, and you hear that snap, and it just snaps and locks. So you have your nice and easy FPV setup. Really liking this sunshade. It's not really hard to open. It's nice and easy to open up. So a lot of them are really tough to click and open up, but this one opens up very nice. Love the matte finish screen, and the connection is perfect. And it's kind of staying at these multiple positions. If you did want to close it down, it kind of closes down that compact, and that's as far open as it goes here. So you can see how far back it'll go. Anyway, so here's the controller. Very simple and toy grade controller with seemingly no antenna in there. So this is a fake antenna, like most of these little quads. The antenna is somewhere inside the controller, so we're not going to get the best range probably on this one, but we'll definitely be testing that out in the flight test in just a second. I'm noticing the left throttle is spring loaded, so that's promising for the altitude hold. I like it when the quadcopter is altitude hold, and all you have to do is let off the throttle and it will hold its altitude with its built-in barometer. So that's great. So let me go ahead and open up the instruction manual and let's see what that's all about. First off, 4 AAA batteries, little speaker on the back, and this door clicks in nice and tight, and there's no screws to mess with. Looks like you can convert this between right and left hand throttle if you wanted to, and there's a process here on how to do that. The left trigger is number 2, and that's our light control on the left here. The right trigger is going to be number 5, and that is our 3D mode, so flipping should be the right one. Of course, this is our pitch and roll. This is our yaw and our throttle, and then we have our pitch and a roll stick for moving. Then these guys down here are actually labeled nicely down near the LCD screen. We've got a photograph, return to home, and then we have a video start and stop. So the main things over here are taking pictures and our video. And then this one over here is stepless speed change. So it looks like maybe this one is going to change our rate of flight for speed, so we're just rolling that. I'm just feeling some resistance. And as far as this one on the bottom left, it's saying on the remote, it says function switchover, with function spelled with a W instead of a U for some reason. Anyway, what it's saying it does is start and stop. So maybe this start and stops the propellers or auto lands or something. Then of course these buttons here are just the trims of the control functions. So that's basically it. A little bit different than some of the other quadcopters, so you may want to bring your manual along with you if you kind of forget what to do, which I may be doing actually. Almost forgot to show you guys how to put on the landing gear and the prop guards, so let's go ahead and take out the stuff from this bag. Landing gear, very simple. Just slides in here, and it looks like they do have a couple of screws that are pre-mounted, and so just take the existing screwdriver they give you and go ahead and screw those in nice and snug for all 4 corners. So you can see on the outside of the motors there's just this little kind of crevice here. All we're doing is pushing in and snapping these little propeller guards. So really easy, no need screws or nothing. So put those on if you're a beginner. No need to wear them if you're a little bit better at flying. Give you some extra flight time and less wind resistance if you don't put them on. And to take these off, just give it a good tug and they do come off. Anyway, let's put the batteries in here and boot it up and turn it on the bench here before we go and fly it, just to see how it looks. Turning on the FPV screen, you can see that it's saying no signal. I'm not seeing any static, so this may be a screen that doesn't do static. But anyway, let's go ahead and plug in and turn on the quadcopter. So plugging in, and it looks like these are just going to the power cables are just going to kind of hang out the back a little bit. And turning on quad from the side button. You can see that we've got 2 lights in the front, blue lights there. There's our FPV, came right on. And so blue lights in the front and red in the back. That's what we can have for our lighting. And turning on the controller, we're hearing 1 beep, and I went ahead and pressed up and down on the throttle, and it is bound. Let's see what our FPV looks like. So just want to kind of give it a little bit of a test out before we start. Looks like it is kind of dropping frame rate once in a while a little bit. You can see how it's smooth and then it kind of gets jittery once in a while. That's usually the case with these toy quads. But overall, you know, pretty good. Not too bad. The latency is good. It's just that slight frame rate drop every few seconds. Looks like every 2 seconds it just has a little jitter. Anyway, that's what we can expect. And as you can see, I have no control with the throttle until it looks like possibly, there we go. So you push that little button and you're ready to fly. Cool, so there we go. So arming and disarming the motors. Let's see what happens if we hold the stick down. Nope, nothing. So you have to arm and disarm with this button there. So this one is a 5.8 gigahertz video transmission signal. So let's go ahead and grab a pair of these goggles. These are the Tovsto kind of headplay replica goggles that I'm currently in review of. And let's just see if we can lock in to the channel and see if we can get a picture. So just going to go ahead and wow, okay, so it's already locked in. So we already have video here. So it looks like these goggles just basically went ahead and scanned for the channel. And we can see that we do have this in the goggles. So, you know, for those of you who want to try goggle FPV and tap into that 5.8 gigahertz signal, if you have the goggles that can do it, doable right here if you want to try some FPV flying. And it does look like the frame rate, you know, is decent. That occasional really quick lag there is the only problem, and the latency is, you know, a couple hundred milliseconds. So you don't want to do any close proximity flying. But anyway, that's that. Let's go ahead and charge up all the batteries, get this thing out to the park, maybe do some house flying, and see how it flies. Alright guys, so we're at the park with this little guy, and gonna put it through a thorough flight test. The wind has kind of come up. It's kind of in the late evening, and the wind's kind of blowing from this direction. You can probably hear it in the mic a little bit, maybe at about, you know, 10 miles per hour, so 5 to 10. Anyway, let's go ahead and boot this thing up and get the FPV going and do a thorough flight test. Okay, what I'm going to do also is I'm just going to kind of tilt this antenna downwards. It looks like it has this little clip that will kind of allow you to tilt the antenna down like this. Okay, so we're going to plug into the craft here. I got everything recording. Then we're going to turn on the controller and make sure we bind up. You can see we have FPV picture here already. So binding up the controller, I'm going to start the video recording. There we go, we got red on a countdown there. Then we're going to want to go ahead and start the propellers. Just pressing that button, we can see the propellers have now spun up. So let's go ahead and go into a higher rate right off the bat. Launch. It's a little bit windy. Trying to remember what the rates are. That wind is actually just pushing it back. This is rate 1, and you can see the wind just kind of pushing that thing back. I'll have the video up on the screen, and the right trigger should actually be flips. Yeah, so that was a front flip, and it's actually altitude holding very well. If we let off the throttle stick, it's going ahead and going into like an altitude hold, so it's holding very well. Trying to kind of figure out what the wind's kind of pulling it up, but I was trying to figure out if I remember correctly. Okay, that was the rates. So now remember, you have to click in this dial, and then you have to rotate the dial up. So I'm going to rotate it all the way to 100, and then click it in again. Let's try that again. So still recording. Let's go ahead and launch by pressing this one to spin up the motors. There we go. Now we can see how much pitch we got. So big difference here in the pitch, and you're just doing that by pushing in that dial here and rotating it up and then pushing it in again. So I'm at 100% pitch, and we can see how it is flying around. So real agile here, and I can still see the video a little choppy in the FPV. I'll have the video in the Fatsharks recorded, and also the video on the craft, so you can kind of see what's going on here. So anyway, this is 100%. I'm going to leave it in 100% because we've got some wind here, and you can see how the wind is really pushing it back when I let off the sticks. Look how hard it's pushing it back. So anyway, that's it here. Here's our rate on 100%. Looks like it's going to be the same yaw rate between all of the 0 to 100%. I think it's the same all the way through. And you saw the front flip, and to do the altitude hold, all you're doing is letting off the throttle stick, and it should hold its altitude pretty well. A little windy, so you can't really expect it to be super awesome. Altitude hold in this kind of wind. But anyway, here's our flips. Front flip, left flip. Whoa, oh, that was cool. So it seemed like it just kind of cut off when I did that left flip. I'm not sure why. Let's go ahead and try again. And you can also turn off the lights too. I think I have the lights off already. Anyways, launching again, still in 100% rate. Now let's see what we can expect for kind of range on this thing. So I'm just gonna fly that away and just kind of yaw or roll back and forth. See what we can kind of expect. I can't even see it anymore. Just barely, it's like a little white dot. Let me pick it up a little higher. Again, I'll have that video on the screen so you can kind of see it. Let me go a little further in that corner of the park. I can kind of see it better against the blue screen, the blue sky actually. It looks like it might be slightly cutting out here at maybe around 150 feet. So I think that's kind of what you can expect for control range. And then the FPV, it's a little choppy. I'm just looking at the screen here and you can see how it's a little choppy. It's not, the frame rate is not the best, and that's kind of what you can expect in these little quads like this. But the altitude hold's working very good. Here's what we can expect for full throttle down. That's our descent. And then you'll just let off and see how it's keeping its altitude here. So pretty cool. Full throttle up. It's just going to be, you know, a little bit of a slower acceleration. Anytime you have an altitude hold quadcopter with a barometer, you're going to get a slower descent and acceleration gaining altitude, and that's just how they are. Anyways, looks like the battery's getting kind of weak, but still really fun to fly. I'm enjoying it. It's nice and quiet, very stable. Whoa. I want to cut our face off. So really impressed with how stable it is, even in this wind. It's doing very well. And I'm just going to run it until, you know, the battery goes into its, I think it's going to do like a self-landing when the battery gets low enough. So just going to fly it until that happens. Still doing good by itself here. This thing I think has some kind of headless and stuff mode. Maybe I should do a picture. Let me go up here and try to do a photo. It looks like we're, oh, okay, so it looks like we cut off. And it looks like the whole quad just shut off, actually. We got no more nothing. So I'm gonna stop the recording. Hopefully that recorded. If not, you know what, I'm gonna just pop in a couple other batteries I have here from some other quads and go up there and take some more pictures and video. So this is a battery from a Boeing M19. This works in this one. And this is the battery from the G-Tang Spider transmitter. Not the Spider drone, but the transmitter it comes with. And these both seem to work for this one as well. So anyway, let me go ahead and pop another battery in and go get some pictures and video and possibly try that headless mode again. Okay, so I got another battery in, and the FPV screen's saying low power. So I guess the screen is on low power, but the Fatsharks are recording that, so we'll be able to see all that stuff. It looks like the controller reset to 50%, so I'm going to go back to 100% on the rate. Let's go ahead and lift off and try to get our video again, just in case that didn't record, and get some pictures up there. Okay, so I'm right off the bat, I'm just going to go pretty high up here. So I'm full throttle up, and that's kind of what we can expect. I know it's probably really hard for you guys to see, but don't want to go any higher than that. It's pretty windy out. So there's our video. It's getting kind of laggy on the video, but still got FPV. You'll be also able to see it on the Fatsharks. And I'm just going to try to take a photograph. It looked like it did stop the video when I did press photograph, so Anyway, just taking a few photographs, see what we can expect for pictures. Wind's kind of blowing it around, it's blowing it back towards us. But regardless, getting some pictures here. Just blowing with the wind and getting some pictures. And I'll have those pictures popping up on the screen. You know, let's try that again. Let's just do a little cruise. Get some pictures. That wind's really moving it. Anyway, so let's see. We launched in this direction. I'm just going to try the headless. I totally forget if this thing, oh, there it is. Okay, so on the bottom right button there's a return, so I'm going to hit that and let's see what it does. So it's trying to come back. So overall pretty good. So it kind of went into headless and it's returning home when you first press it, and the headless is pretty good actually. I'm in headless mode and I'm pushing straight forward and I'm spinning it. And it is going in that direction. Left is left still, right is right. No matter where the head of the drone is, back is coming in my general direction. So actually working really good. Press that again, turn it off. Now we're back in normal mode. So basically the way that works is you press it once and it goes into headless, but it also goes into a return to home. And then once you move your right stick a little, then it's just in headless until you turn it off. Do that again. See how it's coming back? So it's going to come back in your general direction. So unless you're flying straight out in the direction you launched from, it's not going to work. So let's try this again. So I think I was facing directly in this position. I'm going to press return to home, and you can see it booking it back in our general direction until we move this right thumbstick, and now it's in headless mode. So overall good. Headless mode is working and it's accurate. Cool. Anyways, second battery. I think I'm gonna go ahead and stop this video before we lose power and that video cuts out. So hopefully we'll have the video on the screen. Let's just do a little bit of quick flying until our battery's depleted. And that's what we can expect into the wind, and that's with the wind. So a quick little flyer here. I wouldn't go in any more wind than 5 to 10 mile per hour though. I'm pushing it, and there we go. So we just dropped out of the sky, and the lights may have been blinking, I'm not too sure. It didn't feel like it was coming down on its own. So that's kind of what you can expect. You know, if you are flying it and you're not looking at the lights, it's just going to kind of drop out of the sky after it kind of dies. Anyway, guys, I hope that was an informative review for you, and I hope you'd enjoyed it. I'll have had the video on the screen. Let's go ahead and run through a little pros and cons real quick. Let me just shut off the Fatshark recording, which I'll also have had up on the screen, so you can check it out how it is viewing the Fatshark goggles. If you decide to get some kind of FPV goggles and use with something like this, I'll give you an idea. This is going to be a pinhole camera that doesn't have a wide angle lens, so I wouldn't recommend doing like close proximity FPV with it, but you know, you could fly around the park. Anyway, little pros and cons. The camera is pointed down at a slight angle, so that's a con to some people, especially for viewing FPV. When you're going forward, you're always kind of looking at the ground, so a little bit of a con there. Let's see, what else? It does seem to have a cool rates with this dial here. You can just adjust it linearly from like 50% all the way up to 100. It has photos, it has video. You'll have seen the video on the screen of what it takes on board. It has altitude hold, which worked very well. Flipping, you can turn the lights off and on. The return to home and the headless worked very well on this one. I'm very impressed. And it's kind of cool how you can adjust the antenna in different angles to get better reception if you wanted to. And the only con is this kind of camera on board with the FPV is you're going to get that choppy frame rate. It's not smooth and clear like a more expensive high grade, but it is, you know, this is a toy grade little quadcopter. It's cool that you could turn off the lights to save some power. A little bit of a con is it just seemed to drop out of the sky when it did get too low on battery. It didn't seem to slowly drop and land. Maybe in a more of a windless environment it would do that, but in my case, even like if I didn't see the lights flashing, which I didn't this whole flight pretty much, these 2 flights, it'll just drop out of the sky. But anyway guys, definitely a fun little toy. This guy, definitely recommended for a beginner or somebody that wants to dabble in FPV just to see how it is. Just that choppy frame rate's kind of frustrating a little bit. Then you can see the range. Also have the flight time up on the screen. I'll go ahead and check the video and so you can see the flight time. And then the range you can expect maybe about 100 to 150 feet until you start feeling a little bit of wishy-washy and the FPV kind of starts to crap out. So not the best range, but kind of expected for a little micro like this. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the review, and I do a lot of reviews like this, so check out the channel. I think you'll like it. And I also have a Facebook website where you can see my upcoming reviews, and I'll have the link down there in the description for that website and also for this guy here, where you can get this whole setup if you're interested. Anyway guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.